lovelies. Anna Sabramowicz here. Hope you're having a fabulous day today. All right, that's it. This is the best. You're going to love today. I'm seriously excited for you to learn these 3 tips I have for you on how to move away from content dumps and get into engagement and guess what? Storytelling, of course. Now, before I forget, go to elearningsecrets.com, register for a webinar, more of this. And if somebody's awesome enough to actually type it into the comments for me, that would be absolutely fabulous. You are the most helpful person. Thank you. All right, so listen. Now, one of the things I wanted to stress here is that when I'm talking to you about this stuff that I'm implementing and the strategies, I'm not actually pulling this out of books and going, hey, this is a good idea. I actually tested this out with my projects and my clients. So, we're not going to reference anything here other than the fact that, yes, I've definitely done my research and learning. But then I went out there and I started using it and applying it, and some stuff was good and some stuff was bad. And what I'm sharing here with you is the good, the super awesome sauce. So, yes, so some things, I'm going to say, no, they suck because I tried them and they didn't work for me, right? So this is what stuff that worked for me. And hopefully you will take it into your world and apply it. And if it works for you, heck yeah, let me know. This is the best. Now, there is one thing that's worked for me that's super awesome, which is storytelling. When I talk to people, I don't have to sell you on story. Like really, it's like you're drinking the Kool-Aid, you're swimming in it. You guys, we believe story works, right? But when you start introducing story to people, and you're going to be the person who introduces story into your organization, and you're going to be the story champion, that with that comes great responsibility, Spider-Man. You're going to have to share that story and know the frameworks, right? What's cool is that this isn't too complicated. In fact, it's quite simple. There's a really simple framework to story, and I'm going to share it with you today so that you have these basics, right? Because you're going to be going out there and just preaching, right? Amen, preach on, let's do it. Storytelling. So what are the key elements? So let me just get that down for you. 3 key elements of story. And then I'll give you some fun examples, all right? Who's excited? Who's into this, right? Give me a thumbs up. Yes, love and story. Are you a story fan? The other thing I wanted to bring up is yesterday I said, hey, there's a reason you watch movies. Like, you're all into story, right? You probably have a favorite TV show. If you do, put it in the comments. Love to hear what people are watching these days. If you have yesterday I mentioned there's some movies that we come back to over and over again, right? For me, it's The Abyss. I was like hooked on The Abyss forever. And same with like Pride and Prejudice, the series, and then the new one. I've seen it way too many times to mention. I'm not going to mention it. So if you have one of those movies, one of those stories that resonates with you, there's a reason. They got a good formula, right? And that's why now when you get a movie you rent for like digitally, let's say, the bonuses are all like basically walkthroughs with the director. And why are we so interested in that? We're interested in this creative process, right? We want to know. Like, I remember I actually watched The Abyss with the director commentary. And then I learned all these decisions creatively that he had to make when they were, I won't spoil it for you, but let's just say the version that was in the theaters is different than the uncut version, the director's cut that you get. And I love the director's cut. Anyways, it was, so all these things, like we're already loving stories. So how can we take that goodness, that trusted and tried and true formula, and bring it into our workplace? We want to do that, right? So what you need to do then is understand those fundamentals so that you're approaching it from the right perspective, and you're asking these questions as people are going, I want to use story. And then you could say, let me figure out if we can do this. Do we have these 3 elements? Let's say that's one of the foundations. The other one I talked about in yesterday's, and it was about transformation, one type of perspective, moving somebody from one way of thinking and seeing the world to a different way. So that's one part of story. But this one is about the 3 elements. So super simple. One of them is character. Now, this might be simple, but character is not just Joe shows up and he's your number one guy. Character means that we actually know a thing or two about this person. They're actually real. Like they come from our interactions with practitioners when we're trying to extract juicy story details from the people we're talking with. This is like we're getting some serious, details and intel about this person. By the way, before I forget, go to elearningsecrets.com to sign up for my upcoming webinar. You're going to love this. If you love this, you're going to love more of what I'm trying to share there. So that'll be awesome. So one of the things that where people mess up a little bit is they go really light on character because they think they need to make the story really general so everybody relates to the story. And that's actually the opposite is true. You actually want to define this person so that people care about them and their story that you're leading them through. So character is actually important to define. You really actually want to paint a picture of an individual. Because the thing is, we only connect with individuals, right? Remember that they did those campaigns where they had like thousands of children, let's say, or people are displaced someplace. But what the stories, the ads that really make a difference for us are the ones where we zone in on an individual's struggle. And those are the things that connect with us, not big picture stuff, but individual stories. So think about that way. Like one of the things I always stress, and these are the things that I learned from my partner Ryan, is he says whenever I start one of these stories, I always come in with the mindset that nobody really cares about this. They're totally distracted. They're not interested. They don't want any of it. So how do I make them interested? Well, one of it is creating a compelling character. Because if the character is compelling enough and you have enough personal details about them, which doesn't need to be very much, but enough to make them a real person that we can visualize, that helps the caring. Story helps the caring, right? So we got to have this character. Also, they got to have desire. Now, what is desire? They got to want something. What do they want? And you got to be a little bit deep. You got to go a little bit deeper, because a lot of times when we do this, we're like, yeah, they got to want to be the best. Okay, that's not good enough. We got to be more specific. What does that mean? They want to have the championship trophy at the next sales meeting. They want to be the number one salesperson. They saw Jimmy get it, and now they want it. They want to be the ones to come home and share that with their family, put it on the mantelpiece, and be like, yeah, I did it. I kicked butt. That's a desire, right? Not bad. But the thing is, what's really cool is when you start talking to practitioners and you say, hey, okay, what does success look like to you? Sometimes it's not the trophy. Sometimes it's a day off. Sometimes it's being able to take your kids. Sometimes it's getting the bonus, but it's not the bonus. It's so that you can take the kids down to Disney World for like your daughter's 10th birthday, right? It could be that. Guess what? That's a sweet character desire, and I would put that in there. And I don't care if people don't have kids. I don't care if other people don't want to go to Disney World. For this character, that's important, and then you'll care about that too if you care enough about this person. So, what's the third element? And this is usually missed. Conflict. Now, what's conflict? Conflict is the thing that gets in the way. What's in the way of them getting their desire? That's what it is. What's in the way? So, who's the character? Say it with me now. Who's the character? What do they want? And what's in the way? What's getting in the way? Now, actually most times when you think about it, it's a mix of things that are internal and external. And a lot of the learning that we produce has to do with internal stuff, whether we like to admit it or not. So it's about confidence, right? It's about building confidence in people to try. It's about giving people the kind of, like sometimes, if you can't, it's about their belief. Like sometimes it's not the information that we give our learners, especially adult learners. They have access to all the info, but sometimes they don't believe that they're good enough. to use it or apply it. They know it conceptually, but they don't believe, right? So what gets in their way is their beliefs, their confidence about trying something, their persistence. So those are a lot of the conflicts. It could also be like, I don't have that skill. Like I get really nervous and then I can't say the things that I want to say. So there's a mix of things. Or I don't have the skill set, so I'm not allowed to, I don't get this part yet because I'm not skilled enough. So I don't get the motorcycle because I don't know how to drive it or ride it. So it's a mix of things, right? So what's really cool is that, let's say this character now, right, that you're designing this interactive story for, what happens is they're in a place right now, right? This is their life. But now what you can show them is this character has a desire. They want to be over here. They want something. This is something. Now what's getting in the way is your specific situations that are challenges, right? This is really cool. So let me give you an example. So I worked with Adidas to create an interactive story. Wonderful people, just awesome to work with. Lots of creative energy, as you surmise. Anyways, so what happened is one of the things that they decided that was really important for them to train their people on was how to do the morning huddle, right? How to get everybody jazzed up, how to talk about the last week's numbers, how to get people trained. Like, it's a really intense thing, and I can see why they wanted to place emphasis on it. But now what's the character? The character is the person who's running that huddle, and there's all these things on top of them, all these pressures that they need to overcome, right? So their desire was to be like the number one store, let's say, in the county, or they have the highest sales, or they met their quotas, KPIs, because they're always competing against each other. Anyways, so what's the conflict, right? So there's the desire. I want to be the top store in my area, and here's all these things, and there's this guy going around going, I can do this, this is so cool. I want to be that store, I want to be featured. What's the conflict? Well, the conflict, when you look at the challenges for a store to have not only be the best, but also have a really effective huddle, is this person has to be a great communicator, so know how to motivate people, know how to bring them in. They have to be a great public speaker, right? Because they have to be able to speak in front of their team and be like, hey, you guys, let's, what can we do? Or Jean, what's going on? How I saw you do something awesomely. Why don't you share that with the team? So there's that communication piece. The other thing they have to do is know how to read numbers. They're getting numbers all the time from, the head office, their peers, and they have to be able to analyze that data and actually translate it into actionables and results for the team in that huddle. So quick thinking, all kinds of good stuff, right? Guess what? Each of those is a conflict. And now each of those becomes a decision point. What do you do? Do you do this or do you do that? Here's some stuff. What do you do with that? So it's each of these are things that come up over the day that help this person learn how to achieve their goal. Whether they're not learning exactly how to speak in public, but now they know that that's a skill that can be learned, that they can actually, if they improve on it, it'll improve their chances of getting here, which is awesome. This character's, right? And if he can do it, I can do it, right? That's how it works. So, simple, yeah, this is just about asking questions. It's about, if you're not getting the answers you need, if you're not behind it, because you're not seeing the kind of engagement you'd like to see, keep asking questions until the answers start making sense to you and they're relevant. Because a lot of times we stop, we get an answer and then we'll be like, oh, that's not good enough. Keep asking questions. Like, what is it that we're trying to achieve? What is a good goal for somebody to go for? And who is a person that I could talk to that would tell me about when they first started, how they've now become like the top performer? Who are these people? Let's make more of them. So if you like this and you're serious about interactive storytelling and getting really good at it, elearningsecrets.com. Check it out. You won't regret it. Now, I hope you, if you have any questions, comments, put them underneath. I do check them out. It's actually awesome to see some of the conversations that arise. I love it. And if you're loving this, guess what? I'm here every day, basically. So tune in next time. This week I'm really focusing on engagement, so I'll be digging deep into stories, story patterns, story engagement, because I just want you to be fully prepped when you go back in and you're the story champion at your workplace, that you have some practical tips and questions that you can ask to say, hey, we gotta get into story. It's not gonna be that hard. We can do this. All right, I got some questions, I got some tips. Let's start there. All right? Okay, so have a wonderful rest of the day and see you here next time. Bye.